What would you do if a cop smiled at you and said, "Just be honest," and you knew your whole life could change in the next 60 seconds? Here's the scary truth. Innocent people confess all the time. And the system is built to make you talk when you shouldn't. Hit subscribe and tap, like right now, because you need this video saved for later when you're scared and your brain goes blank. Do it now so you can find these exact words fast when it matters. Here's the reality. A lot of cops don't need proof first. They need a story. Your story. And if your story sounds messy, even for 1 second, they'll treat it like guilt. In this video, you're going to learn 7 tricks that are designed to pull words out of you. Not just bad guys. You too. I'm going to show you the tiny questions that sound friendly, but are really traps. You're going to hear the exact lines to say so you don't accidentally confess. You'll learn how they use silence to make you fill the space. You'll learn how they use fake evidence to scare you. And you'll learn how one polite sentence can stop the whole interview from getting worse. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and the pattern is always the same. The driver thinks they're helping. Then they talk. Then the officer starts building a case out of their own words. Watch what happens when you stop playing the talking game. Picture this. You get pulled over. Your heart is pounding. Your hands feel weird. You're thinking, if I'm nice, they'll let me go. So you overshare. You answer fast. You guess. You try to explain every little detail. You even joke. But those little details can turn into lies later because you didn't remember perfectly. Most people have no idea that cops are trained to ask questions in a way that makes normal people sound suspicious. And the worst part is this. Once you start talking, it's hard to stop. You feel like you have to finish the story. That's what they want. They want you to talk yourself into a corner. They want you to agree with their version just to end the stress. So you need a plan before you ever see flashing lights. Not a long speech, not an argument. Just a few clean lines that protect you and keep you safe. First trick, they act like it's just a chat, so you forget it's an interview. You'll hear stuff like, "Hey, help me understand what happened," or "Just tell me your side," or "We can clear this up right now." Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. The moment you start explaining, they're collecting puzzle pieces. Even if you're innocent, your words can still sound off when you're nervous. Here's exactly what you say. "Officer, I'm going to remain silent. I want a lawyer." Word for word, memorize that line. Say it calm. Say it once, then stop talking. Why this works is simple. Talking creates new risks. Silence blocks new mistakes. If you're innocent, you still don't have perfect memory. You still miss details. You still say things out of order. And later, those normal human mistakes get called inconsistencies. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it shuts down the biggest weapon they have. Your mouth. Bad way. Most drivers say, "Sure, I'll explain everything. I didn't do anything." Then they talk for 5 minutes and the cop hears 3 problems. Good way. Smart drivers say, "Officer, I'm going to remain silent. I want a lawyer." Then the questions stop and your risk drops hard. Watch what happens when you don't use the line. The officer keeps you talking. They repeat your words back wrong on purpose. You correct them. Now you've added more details. Then they ask, "So you admit you were there?" You say, "Yeah, but..." And boom, you just admitted the part they needed. Now watch what happens when you do use it. The officer might act annoyed. They might say, "Okay, so you're refusing to cooperate." You don't argue. You just repeat the line once if you have to. "Officer, I'm going to remain silent. I want a lawyer." Then you stop. Legal backup matters, so you don't feel scared saying it. Miranda v. Arizona is the case that says you have the right to stay silent and the right to a lawyer when you're being questioned. In normal kid-level English, it means this. You don't have to help them build a case with your own words. And Burkhouse v. Tompkins is another big one. In plain English, it means you have to say you're staying silent out loud. Just sitting there quietly can get messy later. So say the line clearly and you're safer. You're not being rude. You're being smart. This is 100% legal. Have you ever been asked to just explain during a stop? Tell me in the comments what they said to you, because your story might help someone else stay calm. Second trick. They tell you, if you're innocent, you don't need a lawyer. This one hits hard because you want to look innocent. You want to look cooperative, so you feel pressure to prove yourself. They'll say stuff like, "A lawyer makes you look guilty," or "Only guilty people ask for lawyers," or "If you've got nothing to hide, just talk." Here's exactly what you say. "I'm not answering questions without my lawyer." Word for word. Memorize that line. Then you shut up again. Why this works is simple. A lawyer isn't a guilty person tool. A lawyer is a don't get tricked tool. Cops are trained to talk for a living. You aren't. They know how to make a normal sentence sound like a confession. They know how to pin you to tiny details. They know how to keep you talking until you agree just to end the stress. Former police officers have confirmed this works because they've seen people talk themselves into handcuffs over nothing. Bad way. Most drivers say, "I don't need a lawyer, I'll just answer." Then they get boxed into one version and can't change it. Good way. Smart drivers say, I'm not answering questions without my lawyer. Then the pressure game fails. Now you might worry they'll punish you for asking. They might act like you made it worse. But your job isn't to manage their feelings. Your job is to protect your future. And once you ask for a lawyer, a lot of the sneaky questions are supposed to stop. Legal backup, Davis v. United States. In plain English, it says you have to ask for a lawyer clearly. If you say, maybe I should get a lawyer, that's too weak. They can keep going. So don't say maybe. Say it clean. I want a lawyer. Or I'm not answering questions without my lawyer. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings, and it's there for you when you feel cornered. Listen closely because this is critical. Don't argue about why you want a lawyer. Don't explain. Don't debate. Just say the line and stop. Your explanation is just more talking, and that's what they want. Third trick. They ask to take a quick look, then use what they find to squeeze a confession. This can happen in your car, your bag, your pockets, even your phone if you're not careful. They make it sound casual. You don't mind if I check, right? It'll be quick. If you're clean, we'll be done. Here's exactly what you say. Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Word for word. Memorize that line. Say it polite, say it firm, then stop talking. Why this works is simple. Consent is the easiest way for them to get inside your life. If you say yes, you just open the door. And once they find anything that looks weird, even if it's legal, the questions get sharper. They'll say, why do you have this? Where did you get that? Who were you with? And now they're pushing you toward a story they can attack. Bad way. Most drivers say, yeah, sure, go ahead. Then the search happens, they find something random, and now you're stuck explaining. Good way. Smart drivers say, officer, I do not consent to any searches. Then the officer has to choose, let you go or find a real legal reason. This is 100% legal, and it doesn't mean you're hiding something. It means you're using your rights like they exist for a reason. Legal backup, Schneckloth v. Bustamante. In plain English, it says cops can ask for consent, and if you say yes, the search is allowed. They don't have to warn you like, hey, you can say no, so you have to know to say no. Another helpful case is Florida versus Jimeno. In plain English, it shows how your yes can get stretched. You might think you agreed to a quick peek. They might treat it like you agreed to a full search. So don't play that game. Use the line. And here's the scary part. If they do search anyway, your refusal still matters later. It can help your lawyer fight it because you didn't invite the search. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection during a roadside fishing trip. 90% of viewers already clicked away. If you're still here, you're in the top 10% who actually protect yourself. Drop a comment that says, I'm still here, so I know you're taking your rights seriously. Fourth trick, they use small talk to catch you in tiny contradictions. This one feels harmless. They'll ask, where are you headed? Whose car is this? How do you know the owner? What time did you leave? They sound like normal questions. You answer like a normal person. But later, if one detail changes, they call it a lie. Here's exactly what you say. I'm not discussing my day. Am I being detained or am I free to leave? Word for word. Memorize that line. Then you wait for their answer. Why this works is simple. If you're free to leave, you should leave. If you're detained, you need to stop giving them free information. That one question forces the moment to be clear. It pulls you out of the friendly chat trap and back into reality. Bad way. Most drivers say, I'm just going home for my friends, then I stopped at the store, then the story gets long, and they find a mismatch. Good way. Smart drivers say, I'm not discussing my day. Am I being detained or am I free to leave? Then the stop gets shorter and cleaner. Legal backup. United States versus Mendenhall and Florida versus Royer are key ideas here. In plain English, they help explain when a person is actually free to leave. If a reasonable person wouldn't feel free to walk away, you're basically detained. So your question is a clean way to make them state it. And once they state it, the game changes. Let me show you exactly why this matters. If you keep chatting, you give them time to look for reasons to keep you longer. But when you ask if you're free to leave, you cut the time window. You're not being difficult. You're being clear. Fifth trick, they pretend they already know everything, so you'll agree. This one is brutal. They'll say, we already know what happened. Or, your friend told us everything. Or, we've got you on camera. Most of the time, you have no idea if that's true. But your brain panics. You think, if they already know, I should just admit it and explain. That's the trap. Once you admit any part, they lock you into it. Here's exactly what you say. I'm not agreeing to anything. I want my lawyer. Word for word. Memorize that line. Say it even if they sound confident, especially then. Why this works is simple. Confidence isn't proof. It's a tactic. And cops are legally allowed to lie to you in many situations during questioning. That sounds insane, but it's real. Watch what happens if you don't use the line. You start correcting them. No, it wasn't 10 p.m., it was 9:30. Now you just placed yourself in the timeline. No, I wasn't alone. My cousin was there. Now you just added a witness. Then they say, so you were there. And you say, yes, but... And now you're trapped inside their story. Now watch what happens if you do use the line. You don't fix their story. You don't add details. You don't take the bait. You just say, I'm not agreeing to anything. I want my lawyer. Then you stop. Legal backup. Frazier vs. Cupp. In plain English, it's one of the cases people point to when talking about cops using deception in questioning. It shows that some lying can happen and the confession can still be used. So don't think, they can't lie, right? They often can. So you protect yourself by not playing the agree and explain game. Sixth trick, they use silence to make you fill the space. This one feels like mind control. They ask a question. You say, I didn't do it. Then they stare at you. No words. Just a long pause. Your skin crawls. You want to make it less awkward. So you keep talking. You add details. You guess. You offer theories. And every new sentence is a new chance to mess up. Here's exactly what you say. I've said what I'm saying. I'm remaining silent. Word for word. Memorize that line. Then you literally stop. You can look forward. You can breathe. You can say nothing. Why this works is simple. The pause is a tool. It's not awkward. It's a pressure move. It's meant to make you feel like you owe them more. You don't. Bad way. Most drivers say, okay, look, maybe I was there, but I didn't mean... Then they drift into a half confession. Good way. Smart drivers say, I've said what I'm saying. I'm remaining silent. Then the silence can't hurt them. Legal backup. Berghus vs. Tompkins again matters here. In plain English, it teaches you that silence has to be clearly invoked in many situations. So don't just trail off. Don't just mumble. Say you're remaining silent. Make it clear. Then stop. And yes, they might try to restart you. They'll say, so you're refusing to answer? You don't defend yourself. You just repeat it once if needed. I'm remaining silent. Then quiet. Seventh trick. They keep you tired, stressed, and talking until you crack. This is the slow, ugly one. They make it feel like the only way out is to clear it up. They keep you in the room. They ask the same thing in different ways. They act friendly, then they act mad. They offer you a deal that isn't real. They say, just tell the truth and you can go home. Your brain gets foggy. You start thinking, if I confess, I can sleep. Here's exactly what you say. I will not answer any more questions. I want my lawyer now. Word for word. Memorize that line. Then you stop. Even if they beg, even if they threaten, even if they promise. Why this works is simple. Time is their friend and your enemy. The longer it goes, the more likely you say something just to end it. So you end it the legal way. Legal backup. Ashcraft v. Tennessee is a major example people talk about with long, exhausting questioning. In plain English, it shows that extreme pressure over time can create a confession that's not truly free. Another big one is Miranda v. Arizona again, because your right to stop answering is part of the whole point. You don't have to power through. You can shut it down. And if you're thinking, won't that make them mad? Maybe. But mad isn't jail. Talking can be jail. Your job is to survive the moment and protect your future. Here's the reality. These tricks work best when you don't know the rules. So let's lock in the big court rules in simple words so you feel steady. Miranda v. Arizona, in kid-level English, says you don't have to answer police questions, and you can ask for a lawyer when you're being questioned. That supports your I'm remaining silent and I want a lawyer lines. Berghuis v. Tompkins, in simple English, says you need to say your silence clearly, not just kind of go quiet. That supports you saying the exact words out loud. And Davis v. United States, in plain English, says you have to ask for a lawyer clearly, not in a soft or unsure way. That supports you saying, I want a lawyer, not do I need one. All of this comes straight from Supreme Court rulings, and it connects to everything you're learning here. Be clear, be calm, and stop giving free words. Let me show you exactly how this looks in a real traffic stop, step by step, so you can picture yourself doing it. You're driving, you see lights, your stomach drops, you pull over safe, you keep your hands visible, you breathe. The officer walks up and says, do you know why I pulled you over? Your brain wants to say, no. Then explain your whole day. Wrong way first, because you've probably done this. You say, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I was just leaving my friend's house. I'm stressed. I might have been speeding. I had one drink hours ago, but I'm fine. Now you've handed them 3 things to chase. Then they say, so you admit you were speeding? You say, I guess. Now it's locked in. Then they say, mind if I take a quick look in your car? You say, sure, I've got nothing to hide. Now the search starts. Then they find something you forgot was there, even something legal, and now they ask, why do you have this? You start explaining again. And the stop becomes an investigation. Now the right way, using what you learned. They ask, do you know why I pulled you over? You say, I'm not discussing my day. Am I being detained or am I free to leave? You stay polite. They might still ask more. They might push. And then they say, just help me understand. You say, officer, I'm going to remain silent. I want a lawyer. Then you stop. If they ask to search, you say, officer, I do not consent to any searches. Then you stop. If they try the guilt line, if you're innocent, you don't need a lawyer. You say, I'm not answering questions without my lawyer. Then you stop. Your goal is short, clean, and calm. Compare the outcomes. In the wrong version, your mouth creates the whole mess. In the right version, your words are boring, and boring is good when someone is trying to trap you. Next video, I'm revealing what to say when a cop claims they smell weed, and tries to use that as a magic key to search everything you own. Subscribe right now so you don't miss it, because that one line gets people arrested every single day. Quick recap, so you remember this when you're stressed. First, you protect your mouth with, officer, I'm going to remain silent. I want a lawyer. Second, you don't fall for the guilt trap, because asking for a lawyer is smart. Third, you shut down fishing trips with, officer, I do not consent to any searches. Fourth, you stop small talk traps by asking, am I being detained or am I free to leave? If you only memorize a few lines, make them those, because they keep you from building a case against yourself. Hit subscribe so you catch the next video about the smell trick and how to handle it. Smash the like button if this made you realize how fast words can turn against you. And comment which exact line you're memorizing first so you'll actually remember it when you need it. Stay safe out there.